Hello, dumpsterinos and frugalistas, and welcome to the video. Sorry, we haven't been dumpster diving in about a week. We have all been sick. They all got sick. Then I got sick. They all got sick again, all the other people who live here. We also had Martin Luther King Day, then we had a snow day, and then we had a delayed opening, and then we had a day of school, and then we had another snow day. There's been a lot of snow. Lots of reasons to keep us out of the dumpster. So we'll be back in the dumpster very, very soon. But what we're doing today, save the fat! Times are tough. Butter's expensive. We love butter, but we can't afford butter. And I'm not saying go buy margarine. I'm saying render your fat. There is a lot you can do with rendered fat that you could do with butter, but you want to save your butter for when you really need butter, if you can even afford to ever buy butter. You can afford to buy butter. We get our butter out of the dumpster occasionally, but you must save your fat. I'm going to show you how to render fat, in case you didn't know. I'm cooking some bacon right now on the stove. Frugal Daddy's waiting in the wings because he can't wait to have some bacon, and we'll render the bacon fat. Lard, of course, is rendered pork fat. Bacon fat is a little, it can have that smoky flavor. I don't really notice it, like if you cook potatoes or something in bacon fat, like I don't notice the bacon flavor, but whatever. Now, I know some of you are saying, hey, if I can't afford butter, how am I going to afford bacon? Bacon is ridiculous. Well, you're right. Your grocery budget might just not be stretching that far. So if you're choosing, well, gosh, I'd like to get some butter, but then we can't afford the bacon or the chicken or the hamburger meat or whatever, you don't have to get the butter, because if you get the meat that you want, then you can render the fat and use that in a way you would have used the butter. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If you have any kind of meat that you're already cooking and you can render the fat, then that can save you on your use of butter. And yes, on toast. Yea, verily, I say, render unto the toast the rendered fat. I make my sourdough bread a few times a week. I eat a lot of sourdough bread. I really don't eat any other kind of bread. And I like it toasty. I like it crunchy. I love it smothered with salty butter. But butter's too expensive. So I have been saving my fat. And I will put chicken fat on my toast with salt. It's always fat and salt. You got to have the salt. Chicken fat, also known as schmaltz. I have put rendered hamburger fat, bacon fat, pork fat, any kind of fat. Fat. Now, I know some people are saying animal fat's disgusting, animal fat's bad for you. And if you think that, you go right ahead and do whatever you want to do. I don't believe that to be true. I think the whole thing about animal fat, they were, talking about it in the 1950s and how it was causing heart disease. I don't think it's true, and I don't think they ever had the science to back that up back when they were making those claims. And then everybody switched to vegetable oils. And like olive oil is good for you and avocado oil is good and all that. You can afford to go buy oils. But first of all, you're not going to really want to spread like vegetable oil on your toast, because that is not good and tasty like the animal fat. And I think the closer something is to nature, it's better for you. And people have been rendering fat and eating animal fat for a long, long time. The humans have been on the planet. And they were not getting like terrible heart disease. But since we made that switch over to canola oil and, of course, adding high fructose corn syrup to our diet, heart disease has gone through the roof in America. So what does that tell you? I don't know. I don't fear the animal fat. I don't buy meat. I don't go out of my way to get meat, because we just get our meat out of the dumpster and I use that. But I think, why waste the fat? If you bought the meat, you paid for the fat. A few years ago, I would have thought this was totally disgusting. Like, you want me to save my bacon fat and do what with it? Like, gross. Well, I've changed my ways. I've changed my opinion. And I think I'm burning my bacon. So let me get to that. And once I have a pan of fat, we'll render it. Okay. There's my bacon cooking. So no, I didn't burn it, but it is steaming like crazy. Oh my God, my whisk fell in. That's my leftover Alfredo sauce from the pasta I made the other day. And I added some milk to it, and I was heating it up and stirring it together, and my whisk fell in. Anyway, that's what that is. Neve is now crumbling some of that fresh bacon on top of her rigatoni Alfredo. All right, let's do a taste test while we are cooking more bacon. Poor little Neve is homesick from school today, but she's going to have some yummy homemade rigatoni Alfredo with bacon crumbles on top.
Not good.
It's good?
Mm-hmm.
It passes?
It passes
the needy test?
acceptable test.
Excellent. So, I cooked 2 packages of bacon, and I'm just going to pour the grease through the sieve into the little glass container, and that's really all there is to it. I put a dish towel underneath the whole situation because I had a feeling I might spill, hard as that is to imagine, like, I would ever spill. So that's it. You just put your glass container of the fat in the fridge, and it's going to harden, and it will last 6 months or longer. And though I think you would probably use it up faster than 6 months. You can also go to the butcher and just buy a bunch of fat if you want to. If you want to really, render a lot of fat, maybe, and can up some fat for your long-term storage or prepper pantry. But you can just go buy some fat back, and you just melt it in a pot. And then pour it through the sieve, pour it into your jars, can them up. It's good to go. It will last longer in a cool spot. So, prepper pantry in your basement is probably good for your fat. Now, when you boil the bones for chicken or turkey soup, for example, and then you refrigerate the broth after you've been boiling all that for a while, you'll know that the chicken fat will rise to the top and harden in the fridge, and will just be this hard layer of fat that you can lift right off or chip off or get off, and then you can get off. We're getting off here on the fat. Anyway, you can melt that up and put it in a jar and just have your schmaltz. The pan still has enough fat in it for making the dog's food yummy. I'm going to toss some kibble around in there, and they're the little nummy gribblings. I don't know what they're called. The niblets, the nubbins, the little bacon gravel. So anyway, there's so much you can do with your fat. It is good on toast. You cook potatoes in it. Anything you would fry, biscuits, pie crust. I don't know if I would do pie crust with the bacon fat because you might get that bacony flavor, but that would be really good if you were making a savory pie, like a chicken pot pie. But your regular lard, which is your rendered pig fat, really doesn't have any flavor. It won't taste like meat in your pie crust. You can cook other meats in your lard. You can end up using it to make an emergency candle if you need to. Especially, if it goes rancid, which it shouldn't, but if it did, you could still use it to make a candle. I bet that'd be a good smelling candle. And there we've got the dogs enjoying their bacon grease and coated kibble. And here are just the little frizzles that I plopped onto this paper towel to absorb the grease. These are just the finest little crumbles of bacon. And I am thinking throughout most of my life, I would have thrown that out. I wouldn't even, well, I don't like bacon. I don't eat bacon, so I don't know what I would have done with that. But now it's just like this fine little bacon gravel. I was thinking, ooh, if I did make the biscuits with the bacon fat, I could put this in the biscuits and that would just be amazing. Or I was thinking you could mix this into salad dressing, like with ranch or honey mustard. I mean, like I said, I don't actually like bacon, but I think a bacon lover would like that. Or I was thinking to even mix these crumbles. You could mix the crumbles in with some mayonnaise and spread that on a sandwich to bring that extra bacony flavor. I bet those little crumbles taste amazing. Like if you were really, really being super frugal, and bacon is ridiculously expensive and you're trying to stretch your bacon. I mean, you could make a BLT by just putting some of this with your mayonnaise and spreading it on and then throwing some lettuce and tomato on the sandwich. And to prove the point, here's a chunk of toasted, warmed up sourdough bread that I made. Steamy hot, slathered with fat and sprinkled with salt. Now, I know back in the Depression, this was normal, and there's no reason it shouldn't be normal now. And I've heard accounts of people taking a lard sandwich to school. And a lot of us will think large sandwich doesn't sound like my favorite food. And I am advocating for doing this with toast or fresh warm bread, fresh from the oven. Because I think cold lard spread on cold bread, even with the addition of salt, is just not going to be as tasty as it is warm. I know a lot of people would turn their nose up at such simple fare, and I'm telling you, it's freaking awesome and delicious. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you have never rendered and saved fat, you will give it a try and try cooking with it and try eating it and let me know what you think. If you think this is repulsive and disgusting, why, let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave your comments, give us a thumbs up, and share. Sharing is always nice. Share on social media. Times are tough, folks. At least they are for me. And when times are tough, you definitely have to save your fat. All these Depression era habits and just normal way to live, I mean, you're just not going to waste your fat. People need fat. People need to eat fat. You cook with fat. You eat fat. Fat is not the devil. Sugar is the devil. But fat is not. All these Depression era tricks and life hacks that our grandparents all knew, like, we need to know these. We need to benefit from these. So save your fat.